Good morning, Bishop. Thank you so much for joining us today. Can you share with us what inspired you to start the Oasis Leaders Network and what specific needs within the pastoral community and the church leadership you hope to address through this organization?
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Bishop Dr. Linus Mwenda. I'm a senior pastor at Reverend Church in Meru, Kenya. We have been for the last 36 years. That's a long time in the pastoral world to observe many things, and I've seen many pastors struggle, some of them getting burnout, others forced out of ministry, although they had a genuine calling. And over the years, the burden to help pastors and leaders has been growing. And last year, I thought of the Kairos moment, we need to kick into action and do something about that burden. And that's how Oasis Leaders Network was born. And what came to my spirit is a prophet called Elijah saying, they have killed all the prophets and they are after my life. And God said, no, there are 7,000 who have not bowed their knee to Baal. And I thought if there are 7,000 not known by Elijah, they were not televangelists and mega ministers, they were ordinary men and women who are faithful, known by God, but not known by men. So my desire and my burden is to identify those struggling leaders and network them and empower them to serve the purpose of God.
That's fascinating, Bishop. You have an upcoming conference. Could you tell us more about it? What topics or themes will be covered?
Yes, we have an upcoming conference end of this month of May. That's Tuesday the 23rd through Friday the 26th of May. And the purpose is to get those pastors and leaders together for fellowship, because some of them are so lonely and insecure, and then for input in terms of ministry. Now, we have 4 pillars. One is soul winning, leadership development, family welfare, and the church planting. We want to help pastors grow in those 4 areas. But really our mission is to develop great leaders who will raise healthy families and they plant strong churches. So we want to cover that, and we have balanced leaders and ministers at home, in church, and the community. There is balance.
Great to hear that, Bishop. How do you envision this conference impacting the lives of pastors and leaders? And how will you evaluate the success of Oasis Leaders Network in terms of impact it has on pastors and their communities?
Thank you for the good question. My facilitators are ordinary people who have succeeded by the grace of God. So they'll be bringing their testimonies as an encouragement to other pastors and leaders that they can happen in the name of the Lord. So we have tailor-made workshops and sessions to address the practical needs of our pastor. And I, being a pastor for the last 36 years, I have a knowledge of the many things that the pastors go through. And true is that when they learn, we make up for it, it's a network. We get to know what they are doing, what they are learning, in terms that they are growing eventually. We'll be charging pastors to have a personal development program, then grow their churches, grow their leaders, and there will be measurable steps how to grow, including financial growth, spiritual growth, numerical growth, and also when you plant a new church, you will know something is happening. But the most important trait is to get the pastor changing their attitude and have an unconditional, positive attitude and believe in a big God for big things.
That's amazing, Bishop. As the Oasis Leaders Network grows and evolves, what's your vision for its future and what strategies are you using to achieve that growth?
Yeah, we are seeing this being an apostolic, prophetic, international movement that will begin in Kenya, spread to Africa, and the rest of the world. And so what we're doing, we have a network of friends across this continent and around the world. So we are reaching out to them, and we have conferences in their places. So we'll be having national conferences in different countries of Africa and around the world. Then the national leaders will form the International Apostolic Leadership Team. So we see a movement that will go, as the Bible says in Acts 1:8, from Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth.
Excellent. Also, Bishop, I wanted to ask, for individuals and organizations who are interested in supporting the work of Oasis Leaders Network in reaching and training pastors, how can they get involved and assist in your efforts?
Let's start with the organizations. We are open to partner with individuals, churches, and organizations. And for organizations, we look for those who have a like vision and a mission. They can help one in providing facilitators. Like now we are working with an organization called Onward Africa, helping us with training pastors and leaders in the area of discipleship and the church planting. So we are looking for other organizations that can understand our vision and help in the training. Sure, we need lots of resources. Like now we are bringing a pastor from Malawi, the others from DRC, from Uganda and Tanzania who want to come, they cannot afford. The others from parts of this nation of Kenya who decide to come, they can't afford. So we also are looking for organizations that can invest in money that will be invested in empowering pastors, training them, and bring them to such a conference. Then we also need a prayer, because God's work done God's way never lasts God's supply. To individuals, we really want to encourage them to connect with this movement, attend the conference, and encourage your pastors, and encourage your members, and encourage your leaders to register and be part of this conference. Tell a friend to tell a friend. There's a movement that can change you and empower you and give you a global vision and resources and tools, brothers and sisters who can stand with you to do the work of the ministry.
That's very helpful, Bishop. Could you walk us through some specific examples of pastors who have been assisted through the support you offer and the impact on their ministry?
By God's grace, we'll be able to touch a few lives. I know there are many pastors in the ministry today who have given up, who are in burnout, and they are there because by God's grace we're able to connect. We've been able to give at least 2 pastors vehicles for ministry. We have been able to buy property, that's a church plot, and build for people. We have taken a few to Bible school for training.
Thank you, Bishop. That reminds me of a story of the pastor from Malawi. Can you share with us a bit on his story?
Yeah, we had a sad story of a pastor in Blantyre, Malawi, who was just a young man from high school, called of the Lord and went the streets preaching, and a few people gathered and allowed him, but he had no relationships, he had no fellowship, he had no cover, and he had their people in the long way, about 300 miles away, who were spiritual fathers. And when he went there, sad to say, they were actually for hire, and the young man could not afford. He went back heartbroken. But by the grace of God, we connected, and we started helping to put a structure in his life, in the ministry. When he saw him 3 years ago, he had about 30 people who are not organized. After spending 2 years together, there have been structures, the work has grown, they have built a congregation. Now they are about 120 members, and the church is growing in terms of structure, in terms of membership. And by the grace of God, one of our partners has paid his air ticket. You'll be part of this conference, which we are doing at the end of this month.
Thank you so much, Bishop. What will be your final word to your listeners?
Thank you for listening, and you can be part of this vision. Because no one single person can take credit for God's work. It takes many people working together. So you can join us, you can pray, you can tell somebody, you can attend the conference, you can put in some money, you can send some. There's so much we can do to transform Kenya, Africa, and the world. And time has come for Africa to believe in ourselves and be a blessing to Europe and America and the rest of the world. So whether you're an individual, a church, or organization, you're welcome. Pray with us, invest your money, attend the conference, send somebody, and you will be blessed.